This is Punk Rock and Politics, and today is April 11th, 2017, and this is episode number 18. Let's do this.
These days are strange, it's true.
I would bomb the shit out of them.
If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong.
We see these beautiful pictures at night.
Welcome to Punk Rock and Politics. Today we're talking to the guys from At The Courthouse about their music, the punk rock scene, and the current American healthcare situation. Then on Open Mic's Last Call, it's starting to feel a lot like 2003. The drums of war are pounding, and so is my head with all the crazy news this week. So we'll talk about the chemical attack on Syria and President Trump's hasty response. So let's get to the political mosh pit. But first, here's the news of the week.
Here's what's making news.
Wednesday, Steve Bannon was removed from President Trump's National Security Council, now giving H.R. McMaster more influence and returning the council to a more traditional setup. And the Senate goes nuclear, as in it triggered the nuclear option, because Neil Gorsuch lacked 60 votes needed for the confirmation due to a Democratic filibuster.
Now they're threatening to do something else that's never been done in the history of the Senate. Successfully filibuster a Supreme Court nominee on a purely partisan basis.
So the senator from Kentucky has made history. He comes to the floor every day and tells us history. He made history in the number of filibusters that he used on this floor. He made history in denying a presidential nominee the opportunity for a hearing and a vote, which had never happened before in the history of the United States.
The new Senate confirmation rules will now allow all future Supreme Court nominees to be confirmed with only 50 votes. And after the rule change, Gorsuch was appointed to the Supreme Court and filling the seat by late Anthony Scalia, returning the court to 9 justices. On Tuesday, a chemical attack killed dozens, including women and children in Syria. Conflicting reports on who launched the attacks. The U.S. says it was Assad who gassed his own citizens, and Russia says it was chemical weapons that was at a rebel base bombed by Assad's forces. However, there has been no independent commission to review the attack. This caused President Trump on Thursday to launch 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria, hitting the same airbase that conducted the air raid.
These heinous actions by the Assad regime cannot be tolerated. My attitude toward Syria and Assad has changed very much. And if you look back over the last few weeks, there were other attacks using gas. You're now talking about a whole different level.
And at the UN, Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, says that the U.S. is willing to do even more in Syria.
The United States took a very measured step last night. We are prepared to do more, but we hope that will not be necessary. It is time for all civilized nations to stop the horrors that are taking place in Syria and demand a political solution.
Russia, one of Syria's closest allies, claims the attack was an act of aggression. More on this story at the end of the program. In other war news, on Saturday, the USS Carl Vinson sets out from San Diego and returns to the Korean Peninsula due to the recent military moves conducted by North Korea. On this day in rock history, April 11th, 1966, Buffalo Springfield played their first show at the Troubadour in Hollywood, California. And that's the news of the week! There's almost nothing better than going to a punk rock show and becoming a part of a community, a group of musicians and fans all sharing something special, larger than themselves, their love for music and just having a good time. And that's exactly what the band At The Courthouse is creating in their hometown of Bakersfield, California. At The Courthouse doesn't live by labels, so we'll just call them punk with aggressive and fast-paced riffs that will surely make you want to get up and jump into the mosh pit. I was able to talk with the guys from At The Courthouse, but before we get to that, let's check out one of their songs. Here's Turn It Up by At The Courthouse. Alright, and that was Turn It Up by At The Courthouse. And we actually have JD, Brian, Damage, and Andy Martinez all here with us, talking on punk rock and politics. What's up, guys?
What's going on, Mike?
Yeah, good. Do you want to go around everyone, kind of just introduce themselves and then what they do in the band, so we all can hear your voice?
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, my name's Andy, and I play bass for At The Courthouse. I'm Brian. I'm vocals.
And I'm JD. I do vocals as well, and then play guitar.
Cool. Right on, guys. Yeah, I dig the music. I it made me want to grab my skateboard and go skate and listen to it, and even though I haven't skated in a while, but it makes you want to get up and mosh or just get up and go do something. But yeah, it's definitely energetic. I dig it.
Sweet, man. Thanks. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate you having us on the show today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I think you guys are definitely a really cool fit, and a lot of your lyrics and stuff, they're really poignant. And we'll get to that in a little bit about the music scene. So the band started in 2014?
Yeah, about the end of 2014, and it was pretty much myself, JD, and our drummer, Chris, who couldn't be with us here today because he had to go to work. But yeah, we started it off, and it was pretty much just we got together at a bar one day and started talking about punk rock, and we found out we liked all the same bands, vice versa, just back and forth. And oh yeah, this band, and he played drums, I played guitar. We just it was like a mandate, So, we got together one day, drank some beers, and just started just messing around, just having a good time playing. Myself, I wasn't singing at the time. We were just jamming out, Yeah. What people start off as. And it just kind of grew from there. And then, about the end of December 2014 is when we finally got all the rest of the members into the band. And then it just formed from there. And just we're keeping it going.
Right. So just kind of super organic, over a beer and then just rock out, That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So how long have you guys been playing as a band or previously?
Our first show, I believe, we started playing in probably about January, February is when we got all the guys together, and we actually only started off with more likely 3 songs. Kind of grew from there. I just started writing more and more. I was more inspired to write. We started off with 5 songs. We said, well, shoot, why don't we just go ahead and record this thing and just see what happens? So we just did a little recording session with the guy here locally in Bakersfield, California. Just kind of threw it out there into the internet just to see what kind of reaction we would get. Mm-hmm. People it was it's always a 50-50 deal, but a lot of people were telling us that they loved what they heard. So we just kept it going.
Nice. We
started setting up shows. About 2015, we took all of January till about maybe June or July is when we did our first show, off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah. So how is the music scene over there in Bakersfield?
Music scene is really good. It's starting to thrive again. I think there for a while, it didn't take a turn for the worse, but it kind of dropped out a little bit from my acknowledgement. I mean, this is from my say.
Right.
Here recently, and the biggest part why we started this band is trying to get the punk rock scene back up in Bakersfield again, and then just start playing shows and get people coming out again, you know?
Nice. Yeah, and I think that's how you do it, you know? Go out there and write some good music and play some awesome shows. So, speaking of like punk rock and some cool shows, let's play Ryan and Rory, and then we'll come back and pick up at the Political Mosh Pit. So here's Ryan and Rory by At the Courthouse. And that was Ryan and Rory by At the Courthouse. And I have JD, Brian, and Andy here with us still talking about music and everything. And we're going to get into the political mosh pit. So, guys, the Ryan and Rory, it's like a Ryan and Rory, a punk rock story. That's kind of the lyrics. And like we were just talking about before, the music scene in Bakersfield. So is that based on like real people?
Yes, that's actually based on two twin brothers here that lived in Bakersfield. Now they're one's down in San Diego, and I believe one's in the San Luis Obispo area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
over here. Yeah. So what's the backstory on that? The song.
The actual backstory of that song is pretty much what the lyrics are saying. But how the song came about is one night our drummer called me up and said, "Hey, let's hang out. Ryan and Rory are coming over." I'd never met them before. And so we started hanging out and drinking beers. It was a cold December night. So we had the fire on, and we're, just putting down some beers. And all of a sudden the topic came about on what punk rock used to be, or when I started out or when they started out and got into the scene. That's what Rory and Ryan's about, is just us talking about how the punk rock scene is and how it thrived, back then, and trying to bring that back to the way it was.
So what were some of the elements that you guys discussed and that you saw personally back then that you don't see now that you would like to see come back?
I mean, for me, this is JD. I don't know if anybody. So this is JD.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing, because when I got into punk, and I'm older, I think I got into punk back in 1989. I was born in '78, so I was pretty young, probably was 11 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
But, when I got into punk, I didn't dress punk. It was more of a family event, a family underground, Mm-hmm. My first show, I probably showed up with a mullet haircut and and probably had like a Jimmy Z t-shirt on with some short-ass shorts and some Asics tennis shoes on, And I never got for that. And my first show was a DI show. Oh, wow. And I've always given props to DI because they were the first ones, the first show I ever experienced where I fell in love with punk rock. Mm. But nobody gave me any flack for the way I was dressed or I didn't look punk enough. You know what I mean? I didn't have the mohawk. I was just I guess I would call it an innocent bystander that just kind of walked into a punk rock show and like, hey, whoa, what's this?
The thing about those shows, though, is it was all walks of life, and anybody was accepted, all kinds of outcasts. You could be, you could be someone that people would consider a nerd at school, but, you can go to a punk rock show and you wouldn't have to worry about getting any flack, like you said,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was very inclusive. Like you said, everyone was invited and welcome. I mean, if you want to just go and rock out and listen to the music, that's what it was all about. And it was kind of like rebelling against popular culture, so it was kind of anyone who wanted to rebel or be involved in this counterculture, right? And then, me personally, I'm a little younger than you guys, not too much, but I saw the whole punk scene kind of get popular with the whole pop punk melodic brand, and it kind of pulled everything. I mean, even Rancid got really radio popular. What do you have to say about that?
I think, in my opinion, honestly, the good thing for the punk rock movement, but I also think it was a bad thing for the punk rock movement too.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
The worst thing that I've noticed to this day from that movement of seeing them on MTV when MTV used to do videos and hearing them on the radio, I always thought, wow, that's fucking awesome, man. These guys are, people are putting your music out to people that would never probably ever hear you or experience you. Mm-hmm. Good thing. I think the worst thing that I've seen to this date, probably from that movement, I can't pinpoint that's why this happened, but there was a lot of subgenres that were created to probably get away from that
that label. Because why I bring that up is because I personally remember some of the older, before it really got popular, and that was, like you said, everyone was invited. There wasn't, oh, you're not punk enough type attitude. But then I witnessed my music that I loved that was kind of, small 20, 30 people shows, or all of a sudden now they were being flooded by people at my high school that I was trying to get away from going to these shows. So I think that's kind of brought it to the mainstream. I think that might have created that pushback in a way.
Could have. And I mean, I'm not saying that was wrong for how that went, because sometimes you can't predict what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. But my thing was, so like I said, back in what it was, 89 or whatever, when I got into punk, when I showed up to a punk rock show, it didn't matter what band played. Punk was punk, family. And it's just like now I see a lot, like I said, a lot of subgenres. Like you got, just to name off a few, like anarcho-punk, crust punk, hardcore punk, glam punk, horror punk. It's like, to me, punk is punk. Yeah. Us as a band, we're down to play with whoever. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. That's the way it's always.
No, that's so funny and so true. I every time like a band, like every show so far I've done, a band come on, I'm like, so you guys are kind of like this, and I'll throw out a label and they're like, well, I don't know about that. And I've always been wrong. So like, like you said, I'm kind of done with labels, and I'll just, it sounds good or it sounds funky or it sounds rockin', I don't know. I think labels are kind of like cages with music and then also in the political world. So let's kind of switch gears and get over to the medical industry. I really wanted to address that. And I mean, same thing, kind of just like with punk and music, we have these labels that kind of group us and, divide us. We have that with the political world, with conservatives, liberals, or Republicans, Democrats, and then even within these major parties, we have all these sub-factions now. So what do you guys think about the whole medical industry? I mean, a lot's gone on over the past just 8 years.
I mean, for me this JD, it's ridiculous. I think
about like how it's happened. Because I mean, I'm personally very liberal, and I can't really stand the ACA or Obamacare.
But I don't know if I'm liberal or not. I just I open my eyes to things and just kind of at it and say, okay, what's wrong with this or what's right with it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
As for the medical field, for me personally, I have a son that's 8 years old who was born deaf. And I played the song Upon Deaf Ears, and that's what that song was based upon, was my kid.
Oh, okay.
The medical history on that is, so when my son was born deaf, we had him implanted with bilateral cochlear implants. I don't know how to really explain it in a small term, but it's pretty much like a computer chip that allows someone that's profoundly deaf able to hear again.
Oh, wow.
It's not inserted into the brain, but it's connected to the brain and like a hearing aid. From a medical standpoint, from what pissed me and my wife off was that, I mean, we all work day jobs.
Yeah.
That, we don't, and we pay medical insurance on a monthly basis. So the money that I pay to it, what's it going for? When they tell me that they will not cover my son's operation or the stuff he needs to get his bilateral cochlear implants implanted and then upgraded, it's like a computer. And the medical insurance that we've tried to go through, look at that as like plastic surgery,
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Yeah, that's fucked up. Wow. So, and then, so that's why they're not covering it.
Right. They can, well, like Brian said, it's cosmetic. Yeah. To them, it's cosmetic. It's like me.
Well, that's how they're able to get out of covering it, is by classifying it as cosmetic, which is just complete bullshit, but.
Quality of living,
Right. So, and from my standpoint and from my punk rock roots, I'm like, well, what the fuck, your kid can't live, and I don't see it as a standard way of life, but to help him, because I embrace the deaf community 100%. My child to be able to have the ability to have a 50-50 chance, and even if he just goes out and plays out in the yard, he can hear a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come by. So you're going to tell me that you're not going to help because it's like cosmetic surgery, and to give my child an ability to possibly, I guess they would consider it a normal life, but to them they consider it a normal life. To me, it's just helping someone out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's and that's, I mean, that I wanted to hit on this when I saw we were going to talk about this issue. I wanted to address this, and that's really the main problem with our whole system here in America, is that it's for profit based. So at the end of the day, the health insurance industry, they want profit. Their number one goal is profit, not helping their consumers or their people. So actually, I pulled this up, which, I mean, I knew it was pretty outrageous, but so the annual CEO pay of some of the, I think it's the 5 top CEOs. We have Cigna CEO David Cordani, $17.3 million, and this is all annually. We have Aetna CEO Mark Bertoloni is $17.3 million. United Health CEO Stephen Hemsley, he's quite famous, $14.5 million. Anthem CEO Joseph Swedish, $13.6 million, and then Humana CEO Bruce Borstat is $10.3 million. So I mean, like, what the hell does a person have to do? I mean, what are they doing? One individual making $17.3 million.
Right. And then you gotta, where's the money going?
Well, it's probably going to his Swiss bank account and his private jets and his 14 houses for the that one individual.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, they figure out where to spend it. That's for sure.
And I know you had mentioned Obamacare, and that was the bigger thing too. I mean, just for the people that weren't able to afford health care. Obamacare, I mean, I kind of agreed with it to help the people able to afford health care for their families or themselves or vice versa. It also came to mind when they started telling people, if you don't take Obamacare, we're going to fine you. Yeah. So now you're to pay for something that they might not be able to afford. Now, is that actually a good quality I mean, yeah, it's great to have health care and stuff like that. But But to force it, it's almost like I would consider it like a black market. And then now once you force people to actually pay for something that they have to, or they get fined for it, so they're paying for it regardless, now you have no say in the matter. And then what happens that we've seen continuously throughout the years in the United States alone that I know of is that everything goes up, because you have to have it, you know, the point where.
And a lot, I mean, we're relatively lucky by living in California, but a lot of other individuals in other states, especially the rural communities, they'll have only one option, maybe two options in the buy-in, in the consumer. They made like a collective thing that people were supposed to buy into. So, but yeah, forcing people to get it definitely isn't the answer, because now people don't have the money to be able to pay for something that is kind of like a necessity.
Right. I've known, I think, one doctor in my whole life through high school, you know, and the whole doctor's aspect was they really wanted to help people. And the money. And I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of stuff that goes on, at least within the United States, is money is the biggest issue. Yeah, I mean, it runs everything, and you got to have, it's never enough. Even the politicians, I mean, politicians used to get paid they did it for free back in 1759, I think, around George Washington and stuff like that. They volunteered, you know, they ran states or cities or counties or something like that for free. Once money got it became a big business, you know?
Oh, yeah. And speaking of money in politics, that's the health insurance industry, the companies, they were one of the main supporters of the ACA or Obamacare to push it through. Because they're like, oh, wow, well, 40 new mandatory customers? Hell yeah, that sounds like a great deal for us.
Cash cow. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think if the health insurance companies were against it, there would have been a huge campaign, a funding campaign to try to stop it. And I mean, they barely even got it through as it is. So I wouldn't imagine if it wouldn't even got through. But what do you guys think of Trump saying a few days ago? He said, well, like, who knew health insurance would be this hard?
I mean, I really don't know what
I just thought that was really funny, because I'm like, well, where have you been for the past, 8-10 years that this has been a public discussion, you know?
Look at
knock it out in freaking months.
But you got to look at his standpoint. I mean, the guy makes God knows how much amount of money. He just walks into a hospital and pays cash. You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in his world, in his sphere of influence, and all of his friends, it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my son's cost for his bilateral cochlear implants is way above the 10,000s, maybe even 20,000s. I mean, I'd have to go through all my what we paid out of pocket, and everything's been out of pocket for me and my family. But for somebody like Trump, if the doctor walked up and says, "Yeah, that's going to be $20,000," I mean, that's like $2 to him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
In comparison, yeah, it's probably $2, maybe even less. I mean, yeah.
But that's why I also think it's a 50-50 deal. As medical insurance is good, because when you have a cost like that, there ain't no way I'd be able to afford that. You know, I did have me and my wife had to save up for it, which was fine. But if we had got sick or something like that, I can understand that being it costs a lot, you know?
Yeah. From what I understand, it's the catastrophic plan. So you pay very little a month into it, and then if something does happen or you do get sick, it's like something over like a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible. And that's the one health insurance plan that Obamacare or the ACA got rid of, and that's kind of why all average plans have gone up so much, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's definitely a big personal issue that you've been dealing with, and also it's a huge national issue going on right now. So I'm curious to see where it's going to advance to. Are you familiar with any of like the socialized methods, or like the whole Bernie Sanders perspective on the healthcare industry? What do you guys think about that?
Never really followed up on that.
No, I didn't really.
In all honesty, I thought every politician that we had for this presidency was probably not a great politician.
I think pretty much everyone felt like that.
It was.
We got what we got.
Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, America kind of got what we deserved with Trump, as much as we've been engaging in politics and letting the system get corrupt. It's kind of like that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trump
We are a reality show now.
Yeah, we are though.
Oh yeah. It's totally a reality show. That's for sure. I mean, the election season, I mean, the news media, they made so much money. And then also, speaking of, with the health insurance and the pharmaceutical, it's the pills. Whenever you watch mainstream media, every other commercial is pretty much for pharmaceutical industry or the pill industry, pushing some new drug.
Yeah.
And then you also got to think, I mean, I'm a huge conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
And follow up on a lot of stuff like that. But, I mean, they talk about how, with the pot thing passing through in California and throughout the United States and Colorado, like yada, yada, yada. The big pharma is what they call it. Do not want that.
No.
Because it takes away their cash coming in.
Right.
And I mean, our drummer had a bad back issue. They wanted to push pills on him, and he went the pot route, and that helped him a lot better and more cost efficient for him.
A lot less side effects.
And and there's no probability of getting addicted to opioids, which right now is a huge epidemic.
Well, like I said, money's in the medicine and money's not in the cure.
Yeah.
And they want big pharma.
Yeah, and that's because that's the easy thing to do for the doctors. They're like, well, here, take these pills, I get a kickback, and then the news isn't gonna go and investigate and say, oh, wow, look at like 70% of new heroin deaths or people addicted to heroin started from opioids or started from a prescription that they got. Like, the news doesn't cover that because I wonder why.
Who's paying their salaries?
Yeah, because all the commercials. Yeah, well, they're not gonna attack their investors, and that's So it's like it's just totally corrupt on all fronts. It's quite mind-boggling how pervasive the corruption is, and just how in our face it is at this point, I think.
On top of that, it's more frustrating.
Well, and the lack of outrage from people is what frustrates me. Nobody else acts like they even notice. As long as it doesn't interrupt the Kardashians or
well,
television.
Since Trump's gotten elected, I will say there is a little bit more outrage. However, all the new outrage is just, oh, we hate Trump. There's no substance to it. It's like, well, why do you hate Trump? Oh, well, I just hate him. He's a sexist or he's this. It's like, yeah, okay, but like, what's it's like there's so many bad things he's pushing. It's so easy to just pick one horrible policy.
I don't like I don't care for Trump either, but like you said, there's no substance to most of their arguments.
Yes, exactly. Like the Million Women March. Like, I was like, yes, awesome. You guys are going out there and protesting. I mean, I wish you would have been doing this for the past 8 years, when Obama was doing a lot of this bad, horrible stuff, continued from Bush. But yeah, and they're out there. It's more like they're just protesting Trump. Just like you said, reality. It's like a reality show.
It's become the 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like the protesters now, they have a protester will end up becoming a meme, like the crying during the election, the crying Hillary supporter or whatever became a meme. So yeah, that's the world we're living in now. It's pretty crazy. If anything, it's so important right now, in my opinion, than ever, to have some great music coming out, with an awesome message. And we definitely need punk and rock and just people up there playing their instruments. So you guys are doing it. And let's wrap this up here. And how can people, if they want to check out your music, what's the best way for them to find all your music? And I know you guys have a new album coming up.
Yeah, we're still working on it. It's being mixed at the moment, but we're looking at probably in April we'll have a full-length album out.
Nice.
If they wants to check us out, they can. All you got to do is type in At The Courthouse. We have a Facebook page, Instagram. We have a Twitter account, Reverb Nation. That's pretty much what we've done. We're also on Kickstand Records.
Cool.
So records.com, or go to their Facebook page. We're on there as well. They have our first EP, and then, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then once we come out with the full album, all you got to do is check out those social media sites, and then they'll be on there and see what show we're doing next. Actually, we got a show
In a week.
in about a
Next
week.
Sunday.
Next Sunday, March 12th, we'll be down in Long Beach.
Nice, nice. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely anyone checking out, go hear their new album. All the songs we're playing today is off the older one, but and this song that we're going to play, Upon Deaf Ears, was written about your son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even know that. So that's an awesome little factoid to hear. So I'll have to re-listen to the lyrics after hearing that.
And just to give the audience an insight, the song was based upon when my son was born profoundly deaf. The nurses handed him over to my wife and myself after he did the hearing test and said, "Your child will never live a normal life," which is the first song. And then the song is based upon that it doesn't matter what kind of disability you have. You can triumph through anything. It's just all in your mind, and who cares what anybody thinks. And that's the punk rock mentality. I don't care what you think. I'm going to triumph no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great message, and yeah, definitely applicable to anyone and everyone, and it's so awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys, for coming on Punk Rock and Politics and sharing your music and joining me in the political mosh pit.
For having us on again, we really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely. So, everyone, go check out At The Courthouse, and we're going to hear one more song by them, and here's Upon Deaf Ears by At The Courthouse.
They say your child will never live
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels in the Eastern Mediterranean. I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, "I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons." And they are beautiful pictures of fearsome armaments making what is for them a brief flight over to this airfield. What did they hit?
Oh, Brian Williams. That was Brian Williams on MSNBC. I have a quote for you, Brian. "Only the dead have seen the end of war," by Plato. Thank you, Brian Williams, for pushing that war narrative. Oh my gosh, that was pretty disgusting. And to think, I used to actually respect that guy. Not honor him, but I used to respect him before he went on air and lied and was discredited. I actually liked him. But where have I seen all this before? I played that clip by Brian Williams basically because that was pretty much like the personification of everyone who was on the news pushing this war, this Syria war. And it's welcome to open mics, last call. Here we go, because this is really big. this whole war thing. We got to get into this because where have I seen this before? I'm pretty sure I've seen this. Here, let's see. Here's a clip from 2003.
Go to a picture that's just coming into us from Al Jazeera television. That's on Rim 14 in the booth and is now on your screen. And this is the most recent explosion. We watched as a fireball was set off. I believe that this is live in Center City in Baghdad. And now clearly the cruise missiles are raining down on Baghdad and the early explosions have begun. Whether this is shock and awe or not remains to be seen, but certainly for people who are witnessing this inside Baghdad, it must be shock and awe indeed. These are pictures coming to us from Abu Dhabi television, I believe, and live pictures inside Baghdad. And you can hear the anti-aircraft fire and what appears at least to be more strikes by cruise missiles, believed to be Tomahawk cruise missiles, which are dropping over Baghdad. Let's listen.
So, and then they just basically watched the bombs drop on everyone and, like, basically just watched it and drooled over it as their corporate sponsors' stocks just went through the roof. So, yes, this has happened before, 2003. This has all happened before. And it's so crazy because in 2003, we went to Iraq based on faulty intelligence, based on some sort of weapons of mass destruction or chemical weapons. How does that sound so familiar? Oh yeah, that's right. What happened with the Syria attack, the chemicals attack? So as I said in the news, there's two different stories that's going on. Of course, the corporate mainstream media is just vilifying anyone who questions this mainstream narrative that came out literally hours after the attack happened. At first they were saying it was chlorine gas, then they were saying it was sarin. And who knows, some people think that the whole attack wasn't even real. I think the attack totally happened. However, I don't know if the Assad regime or the Assad elected President Assad, democratically elected Assad, if he dumped the chemicals onto his own people, or if it was held at the rebels' base where they were Assad bombed, and then it bombed the chemicals and that went out, and then they're able to use that as leverage to able to get America to join, because all the video and everything, and I mean, it's horrific, it's horrible, I mean, it's disgusting, and of course that video is what got Trump to go to war, and we know how much Trump loves watching TV and watching videos, so that's how you can get anything through to Trump, is when he sees a video of something. So, like I was saying, people on both sides, pretty much everyone across the spectrum, even on the left, everyone is just cheering Trump on. And yeah, great, this is so awesome, he's doing great, like, this is gonna help his numbers. Fareed Zakaria on CNN is like, oh, it's a new Trump, this is the start of his presidency. And everyone, it's like, what are you talking about? It's really disgusting. So on the far right, we have Thomas Massie, who's actually questioning the actual narrative, and not questioning it, just saying we need an independent investigation to go in there and see what's going on, what actually happened, because out of 3 times that this has happened before, I believe 1 was Assad and 2 of the other times were the rebels. So the probability is it could be either or, and we made the deal in 2013 when this happened last time that Russia would go in there and take the chemical weapons out. So either Russia fucked up, didn't take all the chemical weapons out, or Assad and Syria was hiding it from them, or they actually did get all the weapons out, and this warehouse was chemicals that the rebels had, was bombed by Assad. So who knows what actually happened? That's why we need an independent investigation to come in here and clear everything up. So that's what people, a few people are calling for on both sides. So like I was saying, Thomas Massie, here he is on CNN, and he just totally blew the anchor's mind by just questioning the mainstream media narrative that has been forced upon us. Here it is.
It's hard to know exactly what's happening in Syria right now. I'd like to know specifically how that release of chemical gas, if it did occur, and it looks like it did, how that occurred. Because frankly, I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interests. It would tend to draw us into that civil war even further.
Who do you think is behind it? Who Who do you think is behind it?
You know, you've got a war going on over there. Supposedly that airstrike was on an ammo dump. And so I don't know if it was released because there was gas stored in the ammo dump or not. That's plausible. I'm not saying that's what I think happened. But
You're more inclined to believe the position of what Bashar al-Assad is saying and what the Russians are saying right now than more inclined to believe what even your colleagues here in the United States believe is truth, that this is Assad, and what human rights observers over there say is Assad?
I don't think it would have served Assad's purposes to do a chemical attack on his people. So it's hard for me to understand why he would do that if he did.
Congressman Tom Massey, thanks for your time.
And she's just blown away. And did you hear what she actually did right there? I didn't notice this before, but I totally noticed it hearing it once more again here. She totally, once he questioned the narrative, oh, wait, you want an independent investigation? Wait, you want to question? Just have a critical thinking and looking at both sides of this scenario, and if we're going to go to war, the serious consequences of war, you want to actually look at both sides and take it slow. What? You must be a Russian. Why are you going with Assad and the Russians over your own colleagues and over America? It's McCarthyism 2.0. This is insane. So Thomas Massey, actually, he's, I believe, from Kentucky. He's a congressman, and he actually is one of the people from the Freedom Caucus who we were talking about a few weeks ago, I believe, who actually stopped the American healthcare bill, who was basically a thorn in Trump's side. So, these far-right Freedom Caucus people, I do not agree with them all the time, but god damn it, I really do have to give them credit for being intellectually honest, and actually, they don't waver. They're pretty steadfast in what they believe, and they stand up for it. So I give him credit, and like I was saying, he's on the far right. Kind of well, I don't know. Let's just get a independent investigation and look at this. And then you have people on the far left, like my favorite politician, well, other than Bernie Sanders, but Tulsi Gabbard. And actually, I think Tulsi Gabbard might be going up there on more favorite than Bernie Sanders, actually, because she's been outspoken about war, and she's a veteran. Served in Iraq, and she's seen this before. She hasn't only seen this story before, seen this little cute little circus of beating the drums to war and going to war blindly, and then being like, oops, oh well, I guess that was faulty intelligence, but oh well, we're already in war, so now we need to take out the evil dictator. And then once we take out the dictator, what's gonna happen then? We'll get to that. So she's seen this before. She knows how bad war is, so she wants to question the narrative. And let's hear. This is her, Tulsi Gabbard.
This attack, last night's mission, was predicated on the sarin gas attack earlier in the week. And everyone we've talked to on this show, people with access in some cases to classified intelligence, has said unequivocally the Assad government did this, killed these children with poison gas. Do you believe that?
It doesn't matter what I believe or not. What matters is evidence and facts. And
do you think there is evidence for that?
If the Trump administration has the evidence unequivocally proving this, then share it with the American people. Share it with Congress. Come to Congress and make your case before launching an unauthorized, illegal military strike against a foreign government. Iraq is not so far off in our memories, especially for people like me who not only served there, but who lost friends there. And we remember when the then Bush administration, including Colin Powell and others, came to Congress and came to the United Nations presenting so-called evidence of weapons of mass destruction that later proved to be false.
Right.
So the disaster that is Iraq war was predicated on so-called evidence. So I think it pays for the American people and members of Congress to be very careful, thoughtful, and skeptical, and to support, frankly, what the United Nations was working on yesterday before this military strike was launched, in immediately launching an independent, international, neutral investigation to gather that evidence, gather the facts, so that that can be presented.
You see what she was saying there, and it terrifies them, is, oh, she wants to gather facts? Oh no, have an independent investigation? Because if we gather facts and have an independent investigation, we might not rush to war and start another war. And you know what happened when we bombed Syria's airstrip is Raytheon's stock. Their stock just went through the roof. So, of course, war is good for business. It's good for Trump to get people's minds off of like the Russian stuff and his healthcare failure, and it helps his poll numbers. It's good for the Democrats because it's like they think by attacking Syria, it's like the attacking Russia, and they want to get back at Russia for quote unquote hacking the elections, and it's madness. It's madness. And then the corporate media just wants to hop on board because their corporate masters are like, yes, we need more war because the commercials are funded by Boeing and Lockheed Martin, and then also Wall Street wants it to go, and Wall Street has commercials, and they also fund the media, so the Wall Street wants it because, yeah, more war, more bombs being blown up, the 59 Tomahawk missiles, I mean, that's millions of dollars, just boom, gone. Oh, well, now we're going to need more Tomahawk missiles. So we can't fall for this. It happened before, and they're trying to do it again, and we just can't fall for it. Yes, Assad is a bad person. He's horrible, but so was Saddam. So was Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was horrible, right? Okay, but first of all, we put Saddam Hussein into power, but let's just overlook that. So Saddam was horrible, but then we took Saddam out, and basically Iraq fell apart, and ISIS took over. And Al-Qaeda grew. And now we're going to go and take out Assad, and then we're going to let the FSA and the White Helmets take over, who are basically the Free Syrian Army. FSA, they're basically Al-Qaeda. They're basically ISIS. So we're going to take out Assad and put in our enemies who are in Iraq, and we're going to put them into power into Syria? This makes no sense. It makes absolute no sense. This is insane. This is insane. And yes, it's disgusting. It's disgusting and horrible to see those children dying on the videos. It's horrible, and the media is just playing it over and over and over because they want to pull people's heartstrings, and they want people to go to war. They want people to be in favor of this war because Americans, this civil war has been going on since 2011. Assad cast like thousands of people last time in 2013, and we didn't go to war. So they're really pushing this. And like I said, war is good for business. So this is not good. This is not good, my friends. I definitely thought Trump was not going to go to war or bomb Syria. He did a complete 180. And you know what's crazy? He did it right after Bannon was pushed out. So yeah, this is kind of not good. But and then on other news is also we're sending a carrier out to North Korea. So we'll follow up on that and get back on that next week. We'll see how that goes. So remember, don't fall for the media propaganda, this whole Russian, anti-Russian narrative and getting people to go rush to war. Look and stop and be a critical thinker. Analyze all perspectives and stop and wait and look at the facts and the details. And also, more importantly, look at the history. Because, like what Samuel Clemens said, history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. Thank you for listening to Punk Rock and Politics today, and this is Open Mic's Last Call, and we'll check you out next week. See ya. Thanks for checking out Punk Rock and Politics. If you enjoyed the show and the information brought to you, please subscribe and share the podcast. It helps us here at Punk Rock and Politics, but more importantly, it helps the featured bands gain exposure. Also, if you know any bands or musicians who would like to join the political mosh pit and have their music featured on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, please email us at punkrockandpolitics@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And rock on, political junkies.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.